the revolution about love and sensuality. And today again, I have an amazing André Grande from Copenhagen, and I'm so happy to have him again after the holiday time. And we are on again today, so look forward to what we're going to talk about today. So Andrea, he make a nice video about appearance to essence. So that is so interesting. You should go and watch that video on his YouTube, and I will put it in the link also in the comment after the live show. And today the technique working, but not with our link, but now we are on. So thank you so much, Andrea, for coming again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good.
Yeah, uh, my what I wanted to do was to explore the topic of sensuality a little bit further today, and maybe
Mm?
have a couple of points. Because the thing is, when we start engaging with the material and we start working with the material, new things arise that are interesting and wants to come out. So it's been a couple of months since we last talked, and I had a lot of time to process it and go further and work with it and go further with it. So let's try to go into sensuality a little bit.
Mm?
Uh,
That sounds good.
so the first time we talked, we started by trying to understand what exactly does the word sensuality mean. And we both we talked about that it has something to do with the senses, and maybe getting more into the senses, and then we talked about the body, and the sense perceptions in the body, for instance, hot, cold, or pain, pleasure, or whatever it could be. And so I wanted to expand on that a little bit because, as I see it, and as I understand it, um, we are in, we are talking about four different domains when we're talking about senses, and in the four different domains, what we mean when we say sensuality is different in the four different domains. And the first domain is the domain we already talked about, is the physical domain of the body, and of being, having a body and being in the world, and that is of course the most foundational of all the domains. So if you have problems in the body, then you will also have problems in other domains as well. But then there's also another domain which is more about the emotions, the emotional domain. And when we talk about sensuality in the emotional domain, we're not really talking about so much perceptions in the body, but more about complex ways of feeling. For instance, or emotions as energy that runs through in complex ways through the body. For instance, it could be grief, the emotion of grief, or anger, or desire, or it could also be just happiness and
Yeah, or
well-being.
shame or guilt. Or,
Yeah, and shame and guilt as well.
mm,
Definitely, very important
yes,
and very
yes.
foundational.
Them
But then,
that's
yeah,
a lot of that's a
but
lot of
yeah,
that.
and then but then we also have the psychic domain, or the domain of the mind, of rationality, and sensuality in that domain is more about being in the same vibe, or being on the same wavelength and understanding each other, being able to talk with each other, and hear each other, and share in each other's worldview in a way. And then there's also the spiritual domain, where we maybe can talk about something which has been traditionally be called extrasensory perception. So
Definitely.
it's a completely new way of understanding senses and sensuality once we get to the spiritual domain as well. So I thought
Mm,
that could sort of be our framework today, and we can
mm,
work within those four domains.
that sounds interesting. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
where should
because
we start?
there, there is so much. I think that would be good to start about the emotions. Mm?
Hmm.
It could be very good because that's what I see many dealing with. And how can you say maybe it's going over each other, the cycle, as you say, because there's a lot of emotion in the sexuality and there's a lot of
Yes.
brain, like the brain making stories or creating, I
Yes.
think I want it this way, I want it this way,
Yeah.
and the other one thinking I want it this way. And
Yeah. Exactly.
so I
Yeah.
think they're crossing like
Yeah.
each other. Like,
Yeah.
so, so in,
So what are you getting in touch with if we talk about sensuality and emotions?
yeah.
What comes up?
When I hear it, it's coming up like, what is the emotion when we are with our sensuality with ourselves? How can we work on that so we have good emotion? Because we can also have sexuality with ourselves and still also have all this bad emotions like
Mm,
shame,
yeah.
guilt, whatever. Like, oh, I don't like
Yes.
myself or whatever.
And now I'm asking you as a tantra specialist,
Yeah.
what happens, for instance, what happens in the emotional system if one's sexuality is very intertwined with an emotion such as shame? What exactly is happening in the emotional system then?
Well, how can you say what happened? It's like people feel bad about themselves, like um oh, I'm not good enough, or I cannot do anything, or like it's a lot of that question I get, like, can you help me to feel better, like
Mm,
with myself, and that's what
mm,
people have a lot of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not looking good enough, or my body is
yeah,
not good enough, or my penis or my vagina, there's something with them, or something like that, or my breast
yeah,
is not the way they should be, or like people have so many. And that what I say will cross over because it's the mind again, it's the mind who creating all these stories
yeah.
and the social medias and all that who create.
How do you work with shame and sexuality? How do you separate the two and liberate the sexuality or sensuality from all the shame? Because there is a lot of shame attached to sexuality in this world. That's quite obvious.
Yes,
That,
yes. I normally take it like, how you say, like, first we're talking about where it coming from.
mm,
Where is this shaming coming from, and working on that, and how they then can working on themselves to get rid of it.
mm,
So in that way,
mm,
and how they can learn to touch themselves, and how they can learn to look in the mirror, to
mm,
to to see themselves in the mirror, and try
mm,
just learn to feel like the word you said, the essence of themselves,
mm.
and that is a big step. But that what I first talking about, where is the shame coming from, and working on that. and,
Okay, okay,
and a
yeah,
lot of the time is coming from your parents and
yeah,
from social media and from
yeah,
watching um yeah, all kind of things. And
yeah, yeah,
because in the movies, or how you say, it look like you have to look like this way,
yeah,
and then it's a creating, and maybe also from school,
yeah.
so so
Oh,
so so I need to first talk about how how was this starting, and how can they,
mm,
and that is a big step for them to do.
yeah, it is a big step.
Yes.
Yeah. And I also sometimes find that it's a little hard actually to work with shame in the practice.
Mm,
Because the way I understand shame is that it's a lack of something.
mm,
It's not really anything in itself. It's more the lack of something else that should be there in a
mm.
way. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it makes very much sense. Well, I think it's already from when you was child, like you say, it was lack of of love or being seen.
Yeah.
As Tantra is a lot about I see you, like
Yeah. Yeah. That
through
makes
your
sense.
eyes,
Yeah.
and that is very important when you're baby to to like being hold and looking at.
Mm.
And if you imagine yourself, you have a child, like if you're looking at your little child and you are doing like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. That would
so
be shameful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of course, it's not with purpose, maybe always, but it can be so little word or so little body
Mm.
language who can fill you up with. Like I have an example. I have one friend, and where they get this child in that country. Everyone is known black hair and brown eyes, and he get a child who have blue eyes and red hair. And already there, everyone was saying, "Oh, this child is ugly. This child is ugly."
Mm.
And then when I see him, I take him into me, and he's asked
Mm.
me, "Can you please take him with you?" And I
Mm.
said, "I cannot take your son away from you." And he said, "Yeah, but he will only get a good life because you see him." And I
Mm.
told everyone he's an angel.
Mm.
So I changed the mind in them to see him
Mm.
from another angle
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Okay.
they
Yeah.
were all, and he was just a little baby thinking about already everyone say you are
Yeah.
ugly. That's coming a lot of shame in you rest of your life.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. That
Mm?
makes a lot of sense.
So
Yeah.
as you say, it's a lack of
So
um,
yeah. So it is. So if you feel very ashamed, then is it about trying to be as uh, invisible as possible? That the way you act out the shame is by trying to disappear in a way from the world.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that, and
Yeah.
you, and I also think a lot of people who have guilt and shame together because
Yeah.
it's sometimes falling each other. It's also cover and be big,
Yeah. Yeah.
that also gonna be in the body life,
Yeah.
and it can
And
be
yeah.
also shame like it's worth for putting into people from a little.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, of course, when you start get teenager and you see this sexual movie,
Yeah.
then they showing you and everything like you,
So
and
how I yeah.
and that make people think, oh, I need to have this breast, or I need to have this penis, or I need to have this legs, or
Okay.
you know, hmm? And that
Okay.
also creates a lot of
So is it also a feeling? Is it also a feeling that there's something very wrong with oneself?
yes,
That there's
yes,
something fundamentally wrong, and how do you
yes.
correct that? Because that's a belief,
That's a belief
and
you
it's
have to
and it's not
change.
really true. It's not really
No,
true, but it can feel very true when you are in the emotion.
of course, it's feeling true because
Yeah.
you have been, how you say, like you have been talking to it all the time. So of
Yeah.
course, it's being true for you because it's a belief, but the story is true in your brain
Yeah.
because if you every day hear you are not beautiful, you are not beautiful. If
Hmm.
if that word is coming into you all the time, or this
Yeah.
young baby there, you are ugly. If you're hearing that,
Yeah.
then you're growing up with that, and then you have to change that person's mind,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is a work.
How does it what does it look like when a person is coming out of shame? What does that look like from the therapists? eyes? Is it a feeling of now I can see you better and better, that you're
Yeah,
becoming
and
is
they're shining
yeah,
more and more.
yeah, yeah,
Like when people get my massage touch just there because they receive love they never have received before.
mm,
So already there, that's what I like to do with this. It's they can come and the eyes can look like, you know,
yeah,
but someone finally see them, someone finally embrace them, someone
yeah,
finally give them love without. They always ask me, "Do you want to see how I look?" I'm like, "No, it's, I don't care if you are a big part." And they
yeah,
feel already when they come here, they're gonna be see, and I'm not caring about how
mm.
they look are,
I
and that
also yeah,
and that's very rare for them, you know.
yeah, it is very. I could imagine, because if you're very ashamed and you spend so much time acting out the shame by disappearing from the world, then it's no surprise that no one can see you, because you have spent so much time trying to
Mm,
be invisible. So getting in and seeing from the outside, from a therapist's point of view, seeing I can actually see you. I
mm.
can actually, and hearing that for the first time, that must be very, it must be quite groundbreaking in a way, and also maybe a little scary also, if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have lived
none
your
of us
entire
scary
life.
before
Yeah,
they come.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And some
Oh,
over, of course, some never come because they are so
yeah,
scary.
yeah. So they don't come back. Yeah.
Both that or they how you say they don't come. They order a session, but they don't showing
Oh,
up.
okay. They don't show up. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I had that as well.
Yeah. So so
Yeah.
that's so then they
So,
keep living this life, you know.
so if that happens, if someone orders a session and you know there's a very strong theme of shame and they don't show up, can you then say that the shame got the better of them in a way? That there was an impulse to reach out and maybe to be seen, but when the time came to gather the courage to actually do it and make it real, then the shame said, no, 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 go back into where it's comfortable, where you
Yeah.
were invisible to the world. And then they just go back into where they have always been and survived
Yeah.
in that state in a way. Yeah,
Yeah, and say, oh, it's better to live that way.
yeah, yeah,
Like I have one client from one country and he said it's not allowed to get divorced. It's like it's like it's so taboo. Like
yeah,
and so if it's so big taboo in the country, like
yeah,
then it's a bigger work we have to do with.
yeah.
I
So
realize
taboo,
that, like
that's a,
because I
yeah,
have this book, I say people should get, but they say I will not could get that in my country.
mm, okay.
So so then
Because
it's
um, the way I see it, that not everyone's personality is shame based. Some have shame based personality, and some have other types of person. Some have maybe more anger based type personalities, and so on. But I don't have a shame based personality myself, so there are some things in it that are not completely apparent to me, because it's not the way I was brought up in this world. But what I can see is that if there's a lot of shame-based people around, then it becomes a kind of shadow game
hmm,
of transaction of shame in a group, in a way, that then it becomes about giving and receiving shame. And so if I don't take the lead in this shadow game and start handing out shame to everyone, saying you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, then it can very quickly become, okay, if you don't take that role, then someone else will take it, and then I become the receiver of the shame, and then it doesn't take long before I am being made to be wrong in some way.
hmm, hmm,
And I have found that is very uncomfortable,
hmm,
because it leaves me, it violates my boundaries as a person, because I'm not coming from a place of being wrong. but sometimes it can feel like something is coming into me that's not, it's not really mine, but it has been transferred in the emotional field to me because the other person can't withstand the feeling of being wrong all the time, because it's just, it's not a very good way. It becomes too much, so you have to give it to someone else in order to survive, basically. And then I have found that protecting one's boundaries here becomes very, 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 very important in this shadow transaction field or marketplace of shame, we can maybe call it even. That
Mm.
I don't want to be the one handing out shame, but I also don't want to be the one that has to hold all the shame for everyone else,
No.
because then I will be poisoned by shame, and I don't want to be poisoned by shame. I want to be energetically clear in my emotional system. Yeah.
It
Have you
makes
experienced something like this?
yeah, yeah. It makes very much sense. Like, yeah, I see that very often. And as you say, I also sometimes feel I get it on me,
Yeah.
and it's difficult to cleansing out because I don't also have this in me.
Mm,
So,
mm,
um, but so it's I think 60% of the world have it.
mm.
So, so
That's a lot. Yeah.
yeah, so that's a lot. Like, um,
Yeah.
so of course, when there's so many who have it, then us who don't have it and working on ourselves, that's why it is so important to stay away from almost everyone. Or how you say, it's very important to
Mm,
find people you can be with where it not trigger you
yeah.
in any way. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
because there is a part of me that don't really understand, because it's not something where I'm coming from, but there is a part of me that don't really understand why there has to be so much shame. Because if you're not, if you can step out of the shame marketplace, and actually start accepting yourself as you are, not as you want yourself to be, but as you are, with everything, the good sides and the bad sides and everything, then it becomes, I don't know, it becomes a little unnecessary to feel so much shame all the time. But I understand that if you're in it, then it's real. But as soon as you step out of it, it becomes a little, it loses its power in a way.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but coming to stepping out of it, it's a big to come
yeah,
there to stepping out of it, like, and and if we're talking about when there is so much shame, it is if just that was just an example, like the child gets you are ugly and
mm,
or parents looking at you or like that.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
so how many have maybe not tried that?
mm,
So it's
mm,
already from baby.
yeah. So it's something that has been given to the baby by the caretakers.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, okay.
Or
Then
the
it
role
makes sense.
models or what you call it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
okay.
So that's and how can they find out to get out of it?
Yeah,
Also to find out to have it.
yeah, yeah. First, you need to realize that a lot of the things you do are shame based. That if you do this,
Yes.
if you sabotage, for instance, sabotaging relationships, is a very common thing I find. That when things are going well, and when you start to feel maybe a more bit of sensuality and intimacy in relationship, then there's a shame based side of one that comes up and wants to say, no, this is too good. It has to be, I have to withdraw back into my shame bubble again, because
Mm.
this is too scary, this is too uncomfortable. uh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or they living there and they are stuck in that. Can also be true shame. People meet each other and then they
Mm,
stuck there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so they only meet and then they have something, but then very fast is stopping, and then they still are together, but then they together like this,
yeah, okay,
and then
okay,
they, as you say before, then they can keep telling each other how shameful they are.
yeah,
But the problem is also where when are you learning this word shame?
yeah,
When did you learn the word shame?
yeah,
How old are you when you find out there is a word called shame?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Probably very young.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's very interesting. It's interesting. Yeah,
yeah, but that's what
yeah,
I feel that is the most sad. It's like so many meaning each other in shame, guilt,
yeah.
and then they staying there.
Mm,
Where they both know this is not good, we not have anything, it's not good,
yeah,
but I don't have another way to go.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I was seeing something in the morning, like a woman who was in a relationship and come out of it, but she's still keeping all the things inside her. So she ain't
Mm,
going to the train station with the children and jump from the train.
mm,
So she's still keeping the guilt, shame of her relationship with this dad
mm,
or something, probably, you know.
mm.
And still,
Is
she has
yeah.
supporter, care. She was living with her mom and dad, but she don't still don't share with them
Mm,
how she was inside. Hmm?
yeah. So it's a lack of sharing. It's a lack of opening up. And
Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Because
that's
I would
also
yeah,
again from that's also again from little. If you're not allowed to share, then
yeah, 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 yeah. Because I would imagine that in the emotional system, that once you have the courage to start to speak and start to verbalize it, then there's already the energy, emotional energy is already moving and transforming into something much better.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay,
but
so
many.
the way out of
That's
shame
what
is to
I
start to
learned.
talk. Yeah,
Yes, that's what I
yeah,
learned. I say to them,
okay.
the most important is you have to learn to talk and
Yeah,
be
yeah,
honest,
yeah,
open. I say, like I say, Tantra is you stop living like this. Hmm?
yeah, yeah.
You coming down and live here
Yeah, yeah,
and start open from here.
yeah. So
But
is shame like being poisoned in a way? Is it a poisoning of the emotional system that
yeah,
everything kind of stops and freezes and yeah, there's no more movement in it.
exactly, it's like a
Yeah.
poison, or how you can say, or addictions, or something. It's something who are creating your soul from
Mm,
baby.
mm,
And how do we get people out of it? That's what
yeah.
I mean. That's the only one with doing channels where you're talking about it like we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to people, you're not alone. And you are
Mm.
completely normally with this.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what I see the even bigger problem is people think they are the only one with this problem.
Yes, yes, yes. That's also a shame thing. That
Yeah.
there's also a kind of specialness in it that I am the only one in the world with this problem, and that kind of makes me a little bit unique in a way. That's the belief, right? That's the shame-based belief that you can kind that's something you can get out of it. Because my understanding is that all these negative emotions like shame, guilt, grief, fear, anger, and pride, that if there were nothing to gain from them whatsoever, if they were only negative, then no one will want to be there. There is some kind of gain by attaching. So, what is the gain in anger, for instance? The gain in anger is that you get to always be right,
Hmm.
and that feels good for the appearance in my vocabulary. Or the gain of fear is that you get to imagine a perfect world if you just control everything by fear based. And so the question here is, I'm trying to understand is that what do you get out of shame? And maybe it is that kind of you get to be a unique individual in a way. Um, and tell yourself that you're the only person that feels this. And then when the correcting belief comes in and saying, no, many millions of people feel this way. It's very normal. then you're already in a way out, going out of the shame, and you're okay. I'm not that special anyway. I'm just normal human being like everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
but when I hear that, then coming from you feel you was unique in somehow with something in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Then when you maybe find out, oh, there's so many other
Yeah.
who are. Then again, then you're back to who I am. Then
Yeah. So okay, so that could, so people actually go into a kind of existential crisis
yes, because
on the
then
way
who are
out of
they then?
shame. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. And that's also very scary.
yes, yes. So,
Yeah.
so what I have seen with all this talk we have and with all the things I always philosophy about, it's as I was seeing say the other shows. I think we must back and help the children from when you get pregnant.
Mm.
You must have like in first month you're learning this, in second month you learn that, in third month
Mm.
you learn 4, 5 up to the 9 months. Like
Mm.
if we should change this,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because these two parents who create this child maybe not have cleansing up anything.
Mm. Mm.
Then you're putting, like you can say, the poison already in the stomach into the
Yeah, that
child.
was exactly what I was thinking. That the child, you can say that it's a shame-based womb in a way,
Yes,
and that may be a little harsh to hear for some people, and who are maybe a little sensitive. But I think, yeah, if the shame is already in the mother and the father's body, then everything about the conception and the pregnancy is shame-based, and we
yes,
know that it's in the body because we talked about that. So yeah, so you basically before you're born, you're already in that shame world.
yes.
Yeah,
And it's,
yeah,
of course, it's difficult for people to hear it, but we still don't say it because we think there's something wrong with them.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I
That's
say
exactly
to
the
people.
point.
It's
Yeah,
not because there's something wrong. You don't know better.
yeah. That's
That's
exactly the
the
point.
point.
Yeah, the
Mm.
point is that there's nothing wrong with you, but it takes time to understand that. Yeah,
Yes, yes, exactly. But also, if they hear this, it's not because we say they have do something. They could not do anything better because they don't
yeah,
know better.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. That's the compassion
yeah,
side
and
of it. Yeah,
I
yeah,
know it from myself. I have definitely put some lot of things in my children when I have them in.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so I know
That's
it
very
from
interesting. Yeah,
myself.
yeah. Yeah, so maybe yeah, compassion is a very good tool because compassion is a heart-based tool.
Mm.
That the way I always visualize compassion is that if you have this object, this trauma object that you're working with, and it's very hard to work with because it's very painful and it hurts a lot, then compassion in this perspective here is like having a blanket or a pillow or something that it doesn't take away the pain or the shame, but it covers it in a very soft layer that makes the pain or the shame much more bearable than if you didn't have compassion around it. That's the way I always visualize it.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and a
Yeah, completely
compassionate,
wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it could be good we learn when you was pregnant before you get
yeah, yeah,
pregnant,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
have to come to a course when
yeah,
you're 1 month, 2, 3, 4.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
this, I talking about talking about the baby. If you already start talking to the baby from
yeah,
0 day or day
yeah,
one, or like,
yeah,
oh, you are so amazing, you are so unique,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you are rich, you are abundant, like like all that.
Conquer the
Mm.
world.
What?
Conquer the world.
Yes, yes, exactly. So it could be interesting to see what coming out of this baby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very interesting. I think we have really talked. We have really gotten into maybe what exactly is the essence of shame. And I think
Yes.
that is it is a lack of something else, maybe a lack of love or a lack of connection or a lack of something fundamental that you
Yeah,
need to.
in my opinion, I say lack of being seen.
Yeah, that's a very good way of saying it. Yeah, yeah,
Like,
a lack of being seen. Yeah, yeah, for
yes,
what you are. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, for who
yeah,
you are.
for who you are. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And no one do that.
yeah, yeah. Because if we live in a world where most people are blind, then of course there's a lot of shame to go around, and it
Yes,
becomes that shadow marketplace that talked about. Yeah,
yeah, and it's gonna be normal
yeah,
when you're walking out of it. You're walking out of the guilt or anger and all that, and you're walking away from all this, and then you are not the normally anymore. Like,
mm, yeah, yeah. Because I have the feeling that and this is something that was very counterintuitive in a way because I have the feeling that the more I work on the body and the emotions and everything, that the more normal I feel. You know, that
mm,
if I was a shame-based type and I was going around always feeling that I was wrong in some way, everything I did was wrong. You know, I'm fundamentally wrong. But if we can step out of it, then what we are stepping out to is just kind of being normal, just being everyday, normal
yes,
human being in a way. Yeah.
yeah, and that I try like learn my clients, and I try learn them this about looking in the mirror.
Mm.
Start looking just with your eyes,
Yeah.
not even your body, but just the eyes into the mirror and talk to yourself.
Mm. Mm.
And they are afraid of that.
Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah, I want
Yeah.
come, but never coming back. I was giving a lot of exercises and all that, but never
Mm.
get.
They didn't come back.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But
Yeah.
maybe I learned from, how can you say, when I was in Denmark, there was someone I was telling something to, and in that moment it also not happened. But then some years after, I was with my teacher, and then she told me, "Oh, this person have do," and I was like, "Oh wow!" So they actually, it's still growing in them what I say,
Yes. Yeah.
but
And
it's
that's
just
yeah.
taking
Yeah.
time.
Maybe years. It can take years. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
maybe
That's
still.
interesting because yeah, because I've recently started a new job in an after school here in Copenhagen, and I work with children from 5, 6 to 9, 10 years of age, and the feedback I'm getting is much more immediate. I very quickly know if this is working or this is not working, because these children don't have all these extra adult layers and stiffness in their person yet. They don't have it yet. And as you said, that if you're working with adults, it can the changes can you can sometimes you maybe can't see it right away because it's something that's happening very deep inside, and then it has to grow and take time to expand outwards. So yeah, sometimes you can feel like sometimes I can feel like that I can be doubtful if what I'm doing is working in the right way because I can't see the changes immediately as I can with the children.
I
But
have that feeling also. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
was on my way to think, okay, how can I change my work? Because I was also feeling like, this is really worth it to sit and do all this, and there's
yeah,
not any changes, and you not get any, you know.
mm,
But then I still have learned, okay, you're planting a seed, and it takes long time for a
yeah,
tree
yeah, yeah,
to,
yeah,
and then I was realized I give them something they don't can get.
mm,
So I give them love,
yeah. That's it. Yeah,
and I see them,
yeah,
and that maybe just can grow them.
yeah.
a little. But as I say, you're working with children, so you can improve much more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I should probably also my friend he said to me I should get like this I was talking about last time with where he said I should get like a child police sign so I could go and say hello you need to come
Yeah.
in therapist now with your child
Yeah.
because you must know that also. You must know that already also. Like
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
going around, you can already see. That's the worst part of when you get so much knowledge and all that. You can already see it when you walk in the street.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
found
yeah.
that difficult for me.
But then again, it comes down to for me because that's also something that I experienced, and because when you if you do the tantra thing, and you start to open up the senses, and you start to open up because before you had your little bubble or your little square of your personality that was very fixed and tight, and maybe also things in front of the eyes, so you couldn't really see what was going on and when you start to open up to that, it becomes you can. There is a point I think where you can become a little bit too sensitive for your own good.
Hmm.
You can see too much,
Yes.
and I think here that again it come. Then now we have to if you do that, you also have to reinstate boundaries, but
Hmm.
this time not unconscious boundaries of the personality, but conscious personal boundaries of just um, knowing your own limit and how much you can take before it becomes too much. And that is something that I have been practicing the last couple of weeks, also because I'm together with a lot of children, and
Hmm.
they are everyone wants attention at the same time, and also have colleagues, and there's a workplace culture and everything. And for me, because if I take too much into my emotional system, then I become drained and I lose energy. And I don't want to lose energy when I go to work, neither
Hmm.
as a psychotherapist or as a pædagogmedhjælper.
Hmm.
I want to actually go in and out of the workday with the same amount of energy. And I can only do that if I'm very careful about my boundaries and not let things get too far in, but also not pushing things too far out. But having them right there where it's just the perfect space between two people.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something that I have neglected a little bit in the last couple of years, and I'm really training again to get them
That's
going.
really good training, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
There you can really do it because you are
yeah,
in like in so big dynamic.
yeah.
So
Very dynamic. Yeah,
yeah, so there you can really train it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, as I say,
So far so
I
good
tried.
actually.
What
So
you
far
say?
so good. I'm,
Yes,
I'm, I'm I have
yes.
actually succeeded with what
Mm,
I wanted to do, and it's a good feeling because then then I will do the work better because I'm
yeah.
not drained because they get the best version of me because I'm protected with my boundaries and
Mm,
boundaries is both because like sensuality boundaries also belongs to the four different domains that there are physical boundaries that how close do you want people to get to you body to body, but there are also emotional boundaries like how much do you want to open up and share about because some people I think maybe again returning to shame that if you have spent let's say 40 or 50 years holding in everything and then finally there's someone on the other side, a therapist maybe or a friend or whatever, listening, really listening, then when things start coming out of you, then you also have to be very mindful that you're not too much too quickly.
mm,
Uh, and that's also a boundary. And you have to check in with yourself. How much do I actually want to share in this session
mm,
today? Uh,
mm,
we can't I can't share it all in 1 hour. It's simply too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
but,
and
but
yeah, and
I
also
don't think they know
psychic,
that.
and also
Mm.
psychic boundaries, and also spiritual boundaries as well. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but then you must, as a therapist, where we are, then we must, before the session start, learn them that because they don't know about this.
yeah.
You cannot
They're
expect
training.
them.
Yeah, yeah,
You cannot expect them to know about this.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So then you must start the session with, okay, what is your boundaries and how can you?
Mm,
Like someone in
yeah.
England asked me, how can I protect myself? I say, you have to imagine you're putting like
Mm,
a metal in front of you all the
yeah,
time, so the bomb
yeah,
around.
yeah,
And but I say to him, in the end, you must moving from UK because
yeah. Maybe.
yeah, because I say to him, I cannot. My energy there, I get very sick when I am there.
That's
So.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. I lived 1 year in Manchester 10 years
Mm,
ago, so I also know about what it
mm,
feels like to live in England. It's different than
mm.
Denmark. It's different. Every
Yeah,
country is a
but
little bit
also,
different. Yeah.
I only been back now in Croatia 2 days, and I already feel much better. I could
Okay.
almost
That's
walk in England. I could. I so so
yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting
Because
how you can.
yeah, because I think that has something to do with the psychic. Collective psychic space.
Mm,
And now
totally.
so it's not so much emotional, but more about what is the vibe of a country when you get into it.
Mm.
In some places, it can be maybe a little bit depressing, or in some places, it can feel a little more clear or up. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but it's strange. Like, as I say, I'm not from Croatia. I am from Denmark, but that is the place where I feel best. Like, also when I'm in Denmark, I feel okay, but here I feel best.
mhm,
Like, and it's not because people here they have a lot of shame and they have a lot
yeah,
of guilt
yeah,
and
trauma. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, because they're still carrying around with the war who are 30 years ago soon.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I say to them, and especially the young, I say to them, it's time to stop now.
Mm, mm,
But I
yeah,
still think only the way we can is helping young people and children.
mm, yeah,
I think
mm,
that we can help, of course, adult, but like I have one like one was realized like okay, this relationship is like being with a child because this person have no tools.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Helpless. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So, but you cannot imagine a person can change when they don't have any tools, when they're coming from a place with no tools.
yeah. And
How
and
can you
and that yeah,
then?
and that's also how I see that's the end point of shame. That shame takes away your ability to protect yourself and resist things coming from the outside. So
Mm,
if you stay in that field for a very long time for your whole life, then you end up in a completely helpless place where
yes.
you're just open to whatever comes in, and you can't really differentiate it or understand it or push it out what you don't want. Then you kind of in an unconscious way kind of melt together with the collective energies in a way.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
just live hard life, as I say.
yeah,
You because you just survive.
yeah, yeah. It's
So,
a survival state. Yeah, that's
mhm.
exactly right. Yeah, it's just a survival state, nothing
But
more.
that's what I
Yeah,
see everyone almost do
yeah,
for for 30, I was in 40 up.
yeah,
Like I see that, but I also see a lot of young people. They're also stuck.
yeah, yeah,
So that's why I hope with this channel we can get out to some of them and like helping and show we also coming from that, not like shame maybe, but we coming from guilt and
mm,
like I say to people, I have to do a lot of work. It's not like I am now for 30 years ago.
mm. Yeah, there's a process.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also have been there and lived in a relationship for 12 years with nothing and do
Mm,
everything wrong.
mm, mm,
But that's what I then can help and I understand. But it's time to say to ourselves, okay, who is most important?
mm.
And
Yeah,
that's what we also not have learned.
yeah. So self-love
Mm,
is also the way out of shame.
yes, it's
Yeah,
very when I say to everyone who come, you have to build the right foundation for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you don't have to do that, you can actually not be with anyone.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That was also one of the points I wanted to make today is that we have these four different domains. We have the physical, the emotional, the psychic, and the spiritual. And what we need to do is be a little have a little of the masculine energy, where we draw boundaries or lines between the domains so they don't bleed into each other. So, for instance, if you have a physical problem, for instance, if you haven't learned how to breathe properly, uh, then you shouldn't really use spiritual tools for a physical problem. You should use physical tools for a physical problem, and that's. I want to be very precise in on my own YouTube channel and what I can do and what I'm intending to do with my YouTube channel because I work from that insight that appearance is not the same as essence. But before you can have that insight, you need to spend a lot of time healing yourself, healing the emotions, healing the body, balancing the polarities, building up the personality, doing the shadow work and all that. So I understand. So if you are a person in the context and um, the next thing you want to achieve or master is to breathe correctly, then what I'm doing uh, about appearance is not the same as this. It's not really relevant to that. Then it's more about Wim Hof breathing methods and learning to breathe correctly through the body. Also, some hatha yoga breathing exercises. Uh, yeah. So and I think and I'm only talking for me here, but I think what I'm trying to do is the work that I have already done. Uh, that's all I'm speaking from. I'm not actually speaking from something that I've heard about or known about or know about, but I'm only sharing the fruits of of the insights that I have gotten by doing the work step by step by step through all the domains, and then also going back and forwards and wherever the problem is. And I have noticed that in the last couple of years, I've had some problems in the physical domain with stress and diseases. And
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, and if I don't have enough energy in my physical body to get through the day, then how am I going to do anything in the psychic or emotional or spiritual domains? Everything has to be in that order. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
someone called.
yeah. Okay, so that was one of the points I wanted to make, that we have to be very precise and demarcate the lines. What are we actually talking about here? Uh,
Mm.
so we don't try to force one size fits all solutions on different problems in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a really big problem with all this pain in the body,
Hmm.
where it coming from. But there, I still mean the breathing will be the first step
Yeah, yeah.
to,
Breathing and
and you can choose.
boundaries. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
because yeah, but I still think the breathing is the first
yeah.
baby step
Foundational.
to,
Yeah, foundational.
because
Yeah,
that can helping you to calm your nervous system. It can help
yeah,
you to,
yeah,
and I also only speak from where I coming from.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
all my knowledge is all my philosophy from where I'm studying
yeah,
and what I feel inside me. I never
yeah.
told you about something I know. And I have also realized 90% of the world have lower back problems.
Yes.
And that coming from what people don't understand, it coming from first it's
It's
support,
what support?
supporting life.
Yeah,
So, and no one have really support in life because if we can
yeah,
talk about this word support, like
yeah,
it, we not feel supported from friends, family, mom,
yeah.
dad. Then the other thing is our strain.
Mm,
The word strain
yeah,
is sitting there also.
yeah,
And then it's our in the middle with the disc is our sexuality going to the
yeah,
ultimate
yeah,
up and down, and no one working on that area.
yeah, yeah. So what does a healthy emotional system look like?
It's look like if you're working on your breathing and you're working on your all your body also there.
Yeah.
It's then you start actually open up for the healthy of your soul.
Mm,
That's it's a baby step first
mm,
before you actually can start doing the foundation for yourself.
mm,
So already in the school, they should learn them to train hold the body. Also,
yeah,
that we again back to, or
yeah,
in the kindergarten already there.
mm,
Also, if we see like children who sitting alone, make some exercise with them on breathing.
mm,
Children should learn breathing already when they're small.
mm, yeah. Because it's also I know what an emotional system that's not in balance feels like, and that does not feel very good.
No.
For instance, if you have stress in the system, you have a constant feeling of being a little bit outside of yourself. And I think the that emotional system, I think its character, if it's in a healthy state, I think it's characterized by emotional calm. If you experience things that are maybe challenging, you don't you're not swung around in the polarities so much, but you are more able to have this calm, centered steadiness when dealing with the world. Yeah, yeah, and I also had it's so important. This is a bit of a side note, but it's so important because when I was when I started my I went to a therapist and he was a man and he was older and he had balanced his nervous system and he knew his emotions and I couldn't really do it in my own system before I have gotten it in my relationship with him as an emotional transfer. So instead of being this shame transfer that I talked about, then now it becomes a transfer of calm and peace and wholeness and and it was foreign to me, but I was in a state where I was open to it, so I
Mm.
could take it in. It wasn't scary, but it was foreign, and it was like, is it actually possible to live and be calm in yourself?
Mm.
That was it sounds a bit silly, but that was actually an eye opener for me. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And that's what I calling this code, breaking the codes, like
yeah.
eye
Breaking the
opening.
code.
Yes, like eye opening codes. We can call them
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Because I
That
think
at
if you
first
want
there
to,
we change.
yeah, because if you want to open up and do the tantra thing, first you need to have peace in the nervous system before you attempt that. Because otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to be,
Mm.
because I also think that there's a tendency for some types to try to bypass themselves to get to the spiritual domain where everything is enjoyable, and so to speak. And but first we have to go through the body and the emotions,
Yeah,
and
but
balance. Yeah,
again,
yeah,
yeah, but again, how do you say? Again, sometime it can be good to first get to the body, and then people
yeah.
learning
The
from
body
that,
and
and then they
emotion. Yeah,
realize,
and
oh,
yeah, yeah. Are you still there? Oh, hello again.
Hello. Hello. Yes. My internet was on the way to down.
Okay, okay.
And now it's writing preview, so I don't know what it's saying now. Why it's saying this now? Oh, so yeah. Oh my god. Oh, now we're starting a new one. Okay, I will try and make them together. Okay?
Yeah,
So we're taking this. We have talk. I
yeah,
hope it have keep it. I hope it have keep it.
yeah. I hope so too.
Oh. Okay, but now it finally tell us we do it in a Zoom because this is not working like because if some connection not happen and all that, then yes. So yes, yes. So just to finally the finish the last thing. So as you say, sometimes I feel people if they first come and find out what the body can, then they can working from there.
Yeah,
Because then they realize, oh my God, my body can much more. And
yeah,
yeah. But as you say, it can be it's a balance, different
yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Hmm?
So yes, thank you so much for our good talk today. We could
Thank
talk
you.
much longer.
There's a lot
Maybe.
more to talk about.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, but it's good because it's good we make this channel for people to
Yeah.
and also to see we also have go this way and do
Mm.
our work by ourselves. And that's important also because I'm older and you young, so and I say you younger you are, you better. Please
Yeah,
start when you're young.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Please,
yeah.
please
I did.
start.
Yeah, I did. As soon
Yes,
as
and
I
also
became an adult.
encourage people to say like start when you're young.
Yeah.
You're younger, you're
Mm.
better. Like I have one who was 20. I was so happy because I was like, hmm? Because younger, you're better. We don't go into all this bullshit life. Going in and
I
start
think
working.
also, if you the younger you are, the less you'll have to regret later that you did
Yes,
when you were
exactly.
unconscious. So if you
Yes.
start, let's say, at 60 years of age, then you have 30 years or 40 years when you where you were an adult, where you were unconscious. So you have to first solve all of those years out, and then if you start early, you can just bypass it and start on the journey.
Yes. And I say to every parent, please send your teenager in therapy.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and take care, and thank you so much. Have a good evening and subscribe. Day, it's day now. Have a good
It's
day and subscribe to our channel. And yes, we're coming with more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and we hope we
Thank
do
you.
anything this year. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.